Nhân dịp lễ chiến sĩ Trận Vong Hoa Kỳ năm 2019, các bạn trẻ người Mỹ Gốc Việt thuộc thế hệ 1 rưỡi và thế hệ thứ hai có tổ chức một chương trình sinh hoạt để cảm ơn quý vị nữ quân nhân, nữ cảnh sát đã và đang phục vụ trong quân lực Việt Nam Cộng Hòa cũng như trong quân lực Hoa Kỳ. Buổi sinh hoạt đã diễn ra trong không khí thân mật tại hội trường của Thánh Đường First Vietnamese American United Methodist Church thuộc quận Arlington, tiểu bang Virginia vào lúc 4 giờ chiều ngày 25 tháng 5 năm 2019 và chấm dứt vào lúc 5 giờ 30 chiều cùng ngày. Kính mời quý vị theo dõi những hình ảnh của buổi sinh hoạt này.
Dạ, kính thưa quý vị, ngày hôm nay thật là một sự hân hạnh được sự ủy nhiệm của những bạn trẻ thuộc thế hệ thứ 1 rưỡi và thứ 2. Chúng tôi đến đây để điều hợp một chương trình rất là ý nghĩa trong cái mùa lễ Memorial Day và tháng 5 cũng là ngày Mother Day. So ladies and gentlemen, it's our honor to be here today, especially in May. May is known for Memorial Weekend. Also, May is known for Mother Days. So we would like to represent these special programs today to all of those who serve, especially the women in uniform. So co-host with me today, Miss Jennifer.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming here today. We are deeply honored to stand with you, commemorating the sacrifices of those military men, and especially women in uniform, who have laid down their lives in service to this nation, to its freedoms, and to humanity. Memorial Day is a day we as a country come together to honor and remember our servicemen and women who answered the country's call to service and paid the ultimate price. We believe it is our duty that not only on Memorial Day, but every day, all of us as one body should stand up and say, thank you, we remember you, and we are grateful to you. May is also the month we celebrate Mother's Day. We have many mothers in uniform. They are not only responsible for taking care of their families, but also taking care of the country. So we would like to take this opportunity to express our special appreciation to the women in uniform. As Vietnamese Americans, we remember our roots, especially remembering those who had sacrificed in the Vietnam War to defend South Vietnam and to defend its freedoms and to protect people like us. Many of them were also women. They were as brave as men on the battlefield and were as brave in communist prisons. Some were brutally tortured. They have become valuable lessons for later generations. The Vietnam War ended over 40 years ago, but many historical facts are still bent and hidden. The honor of Vietnamese and American soldiers in the Vietnam War is still smeared. In history, propaganda causes misunderstanding and the context is lost. Therefore, together we demand the truth and the honor to our soldiers. We'd like to take a moment to acknowledge any of those among us who have lost a loved one in the line of duty to Vietnam and to this country. It doesn't matter how much time has passed, no words of condolence can even begin to adequately console a survivor's grief. We have the greatest respect and appreciation for their contributions and sacrifice. We are proud to honor them today. Within our humble ability as Vietnamese Americans in the U.S. Capital Region, we hold today's event, firstly, to express our gratitude to the soldiers, especially to the women in uniform, and secondly, to contribute to the fight for the programs and the services that help our injured and wounded veterans. We shall thank them by fighting for them when they can't, by ensuring that they and their survivors can get the care that they deserve. We would ask, as you leave here today and go about the rest of your day, to keep the fallen in your minds and keep their families and friends in your heart, for it is their immense collective sacrifices that have helped to keep us safe and free. With that, we'd like to start our event today by by singing the national anthem and having the flag ceremony for both the U.S. and the Republic of Vietnam, and followed by a moment of silence.
Thank you, Jennifer. So, ladies and gentlemen, so I would like to invite you all to stand up for the flag ceremony, and the national anthem will be sung by Jennifer.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Vì công dân ơi, quốc gia đến ngày giải phóng, đồng lòng cùng đi hy sinh thiệt gì thân sống, vì tương lai quốc dân cùng sống và khói tên, làm sao cho núi sông từ nay luôn vững bền, dù cho tay phơi trên cương giáo, thù nước tay máu đào lên bao, nổi dòng nước biển phải cần giải nguy, người công dân luôn vững bền tâm trí, hùng tráng quyết chiến đấu làm cho khắp nơi vang tiếng người Việt Nam cho đến muôn đời. Công dân ơi, mau yên thân dưới cờ công dân ơi, mau làm cho khói bờ thoát cơn thằng ta vẻ vang, ngài dòng sức danh nhìn năm dòng sông lạc hồng.
Please join me in a moment of silence for all soldiers who sacrificed in Vietnam War and all our rulers. In particular, to commemorate the women soldier, women in uniform, who sacrificed in the Vietnam War and everywhere else. For those who died in communist prisons, and those who gave up their life for freedom and democracy. For hundreds of thousands of innocent men, women, and children who lost their life during their escape from the communists. For the innocent men, women, and children who lost their life on the airplane, at the World Trade Center, at the Pentagon, and on the street of New York. For the civil servants, firefighters, the police officers, and military personnel who have dedicated and lost their life protecting our safety, our freedom, and our democracy. Vong living pieces. And thank you very much for sharing your expression. Thank you.
I would like to introduce Jermaine Locke Swanson, Republic of Vietnam Military Veteran.
Kính thưa quý vị trưởng thượng, kính thưa quý vị viện trưởng, kính quý vị đại diện, tôi đã nhảy dù trên 40 lần khắp miền Nam, nước Việt Nam. Phụ nữ Việt Nam có một truyền thống phục vụ đất nước rất lâu dài. Trên 2.000 năm văn hiến, Hai Bà Trưng đã khởi nghĩa chống Tàu. Danh tướng Bùi Thị Xuân đã lãnh đạo trên 5.000 quân hỗ trợ vua Quang Trung vào năm 1800. Trong thời kỳ chiến tranh Việt Nam, quân lực Việt Nam Cộng Hòa có trên 4.000 nữ quân nhân trong mọi binh chủng. Khi nhìn hội trường này tôi thấy tất cả các quý vị và tôi rất cảm động đã được nhiều quý vị đến để hưởng ứng cho ngày thứ nhất là ngày lễ của các bà mẹ, thứ nhì nữa cho tất cả những nữ quân nhân của quân lực Việt Nam Cộng Hòa và nữ quân nhân người Việt và Việt ở Mỹ tại nước Mỹ, những các em hậu vệ. Tôi rất tiếc là tôi nhiều tuổi quá không có nhập vào quân đội Mỹ được, chứ không thì tôi sẽ xung phong một lần nữa. Người Việt gốc Việt, người Mỹ gốc Việt trong quân phục các binh chủng, tôi xin hân hạnh chào các nữ quân nhân cũng như tất cả các quân nhân hiện. Nếu có ai có hiện diện tại đây, tôi xin giơ tay chào và xin. Maybe you want me to speak in English, but please bear with me before English, okay? Honorary guests, women members of Army of the Republic of Vietnam, representative of women in the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, and Allied Forces, representative of overseas Vietnamese associations. First, I would like to thank the organizer of this event to give me the opportunity and honor to talk today. You also know my name is Joanne Swanson. I was the first Vietnamese woman to join the PAF. It's that time the President Auxiliary Feminine of the French Army in Hanoi, 1953. I transferred to Saigon early 1954, and I was trained as a nurse at the Cộng Military Hospital. I served as a head nurse at the Military Medical School and Airborne Headquarters in Saigon until 1963. Yes, I made about 40 jumps all over South Vietnam, and I'm very proud of that. Vietnamese women have a long tradition of serving our country. The Sister Chương led an uprising against the Chinese more than 2,000 years ago. General Bùi Thị Xuân led 5,000 troops and helped Emperor Quang Trung briefly reunite the country in 1,800. During the Vietnam War, more than 4,000 Vietnamese women served all branches in South Vietnam Army. As I look at the audience today, I see many young Vietnamese American women in uniform who serve in the Army and U.S. Air Force. Let me tell you, I am so proud of it. And again, please accept my respect, and I salute all the uniform American Vietnamese American uniform in the United States. Okay. Thank you. Another thing I would like to say is I hope that, our Hậu Duệ will follow our step to fight for our country, freedom for our country. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Heather Rice, U.S. Air Force veteran.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me here. I'm getting over an allergic reaction. I'm so sorry. So Aunt had asked me to speak today and asked me if I could wear my uniform, and I politely declined. It's been since 2002 since I left the military. But I just wanted to thank you so much for allowing me to be here. And I just wanted to discuss how I became a military member and how it came to be. I was actually a product of the Vietnam War. My father served in the United States Air Force as an avionics technician. He was stationed in Taiwan, and that is where he met my mother. And back then it wasn't very easy to become a citizen. In fact, he had to go through a lot of steps in order to bring my mother into our family and as a U.S. citizen. She became a naturalized citizen because they had to go through the steps of going through the commander, asking the family, whether their son was credible or if there's any cause for concerns, and all the steps that have to go through immigration process, they did go through. When they returned back to the United States, it wasn't easy for my mother. She didn't speak very much English. Us children did have to help guide her in that, and she was very proud to become a U.S. citizen. She did it on her own. She learned the language, she passed the tests, and now she is a naturalized citizen. Growing up, I saw this. I also was able to see where my father worked. I was raised close by at Dover Air Force Base, and my father worked on the C-5s there. At an early age, I was introduced to the military and was able to see what we did for the country. This really molded me as a young girl to see that the possibilities in our country are available no matter what gender, whether you're female or male, no matter what where you come from, what your race is, as long as you perform and meet the qualifications, you are able to become a United States service member. So as I grew older, I went ahead and started to fulfill that goal of mine, and I decided to join the Air Force ROTC in high school. Once I became a graduate of my high school, I went ahead and proceeded into the ROTC in college, and that's when I became a commissioned officer in the United States Air Force as an aircraft maintenance officer over at Holloman Air Force Base. The reason I bring this up to you is because things happen at an early age, whether we know this or not. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know that I'd be standing up here to discuss this with wonderful people that have a full knowledge of what it takes to be in a place of freedom, to understand what it takes to protect our freedoms, to understand how the United States works with our allies. And I'm just so touched to be able to see what my father had fought for when he was in Vietnam, to know how we just intertwined together, and here we are today under a free nation, under two free nations. And so what I want to impart to everybody is, as you raise your children, think about these things, because these are the things that we need to fight for, we need to continue to prepare our future for, and always have a sense of patriotism no matter where you come from. And just to be able to impart that into your children is very important. When I was in the military at Holloman Air Force Base, my closest memory of having to use my skills was after 9/11. Once we saw the Twin Towers hit, the commander went ahead and gave the order from the Pentagon to go ahead and launch our fleet over to the Middle East. Well, I happened to work on the stealth F-117, and it's interesting because the last couple of years, we had been doing many, many training missions over and over again. Once we went over there, we were able to successfully hit target. That's a big deal, because even though we think we're not doing anything, there is things happening. And if we don't prepare for it, we never know when we're going to have to use it. And not that I ever want to see war, and I hope we never do see anything like Vietnam. But that was the closest thing that we did see. And to be able to, for me to be able to see it alive and to see the effects of what I worked on with training made an impact on me. So now I do support the federal government as a contractor. I continue to support our country in many areas, not just in the federal level, but as well as our community level. And I also hope that we continue to do that with each other, that we're able to continue to bring that impression on everybody around us, the cost of freedom and what it takes, and to continue to want to defend our nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help us God. So thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate your inviting me today, and I thank you for honoring Memorial Day, because the ones that are not here, if there's anything that they can impart to you, is to please protect our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. I'd like to introduce to you Buổi, U.S. Air Force veteran.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my story, especially for the younger generation. To start off, I'd like to quote something from former President Ronald Reagan. Freedom is more than one generation away from extinction. We did not pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same. Or one day, we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States, where men and women were free. One of the common themes that I see from Mrs. Swanson is rice, and we also, I don't have your rank, so is it Major Rice in the Air Force? Lieutenant Rice and Colonel Hannigan, who will be speaking next, is that we all left our comfort zones, and something that I'd like to speak on behalf of our parents and our parents' generations, that they left their comfort zone when they had to escape Vietnam on April 30th, 1975. I was only 18 months old. Both my parents served in the South Vietnamese Army, so I'm a product, purebred product of war. And one of the things that I'd like to share with the younger generation is that it's okay. It's okay to leave your comfort zone. Something that Ms. Swanson did, and Lieutenant Rice and Colonel Hannigan and I all did, and even our parents. They had to up and leave Vietnam. They had to learn a whole nother language. They had to learn a whole nother culture. So for them to do that, they did not have a choice. It was either life or death, or spending many years in a re-education camp. So for us, this is really for all the children that are out there, the younger generation, those that are in high school, thinking about what you'd like to do for your future. We do have a choice. We have that opportunity in the land of freedom in America to figure out what we'd like to do with our lives. So, do not be afraid to leave your comfort zone. I've got a couple of hats up here that I'd like to talk about. We wear many different hats as fathers, mothers, soldiers, airmen, Marines, whatever service you come from. This is the hat that I wore when I was back in the I guess, peacetime office. And then this is the hat that I wore when I was in Afghanistan. I was also in Iraq. Again, it's about leaving your comfort zone. You know, little did I know that when my dad, I don't know if you know this story, but he taught my uncle how to drive stick shift. And many, many years later, my uncle turned around and taught me how to drive stick shift. Little did I know that I was going to get orders to go to Afghanistan and had to drive outside the wire. And the millennials, none of them knew how to drive stick shift, right? So, number one, leave your comfort zone. And number two, learn how to drive stick shift, because you never know. And we had to drive outside the wire. Actually drove a Marine officer in the back. He was probably wondering, what the heck is this Air Force major dude driving me around Afghanistan? But we made it to our final destination safely. No incidences. And I would like to thank the opportunity to share this story. Again, with especially the younger generation that's listening. I know we have children in the audience here. So listen to your parents, listen to their stories. And again, do not be afraid to leave your comfort zone. You have that choice. You have that choice in America to do whatever you'd like to do. We're going to wear many hats throughout our lives. And again, thank you for the opportunity to speak. This is the land of freedom. This is where I was able to serve my country. And you know, I can never thank my parents enough for their bravery and for the rest of their generation to be so brave and to leave their comfort zone, to leave Vietnam, come to America and start a new life. So for all the children that are listening, again, do not be afraid to leave your comfort zone. Stay focused on school and learn how to drive stick shift. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. I'd like to introduce to you Timothy Hannigan, Lieutenant Colonial, U.S. Marines veteran.
Great, can you hear me? In the back? Great. Excellent talks. These are tough acts to follow. I first want to tell you how exciting it is and really inspirational that so many people are turning out to honor our military veterans, particularly those who have paid the price in the United States and overseas. So I think that this is fantastic that people are carrying on this tradition. So that's terrific. The second thing I'd like to do is to acknowledge, because I'm not sure generally people make this acknowledgement, but the talented singing of both anthems here tonight this afternoon by Jennifer was terrific. Where is she? Can we give her a hand, folks? Great job. Thank you very much. She started things out really well. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here. I grew up in high school and college in the 60s. And of course, during that period, if you checked the telephone in your living room, you didn't see any images. But if you went to your TV or your newspaper, or even to the movie theater, it was all about the Vietnamese War, the war in Vietnam. And what you saw on a regular basis were some pretty horrible pictures of U.S. military men and Vietnamese military men engaged in combat, often wounded, injured, and there were pretty horrific scenes. And it was a tremendous battle that the Americans and Vietnamese fought together, shoulder to shoulder, against the Vietnamese, North Vietnamese communists in those days. And while the outcome wasn't what everybody thought, when you really go back, it really did thwart the advance of communism, because the communists knew that they were going to have one heck of a fight if they were going to advance any further. So I think the people that fought during that era were absolute heroes, both Vietnamese and the Americans. And so on a day like today, we must not forget. We must not forget the sacrifices that they made. We must not forget those that gave everything for that cause, because they did a tremendous service. So, having said that, if you notice, I was talking about American military men and Vietnamese military men. But there were a lot of American and Vietnamese women in that period that provided a tremendous service. And I think what we heard from Nurse Swanson here, who was at it for, 15 years supporting, is a good example. There were nurses, mostly women, throughout the battlefield and throughout the various hospitals serving. But it wasn't only them there that they served. They served in the maintenance field, the administrative field, the supply field. If you talk to any military professional, the first thing they talk about is logistics. Because if you don't get the beans, band-aids, and bullets up to the front where the fight is, then you're going to lose every time. And so in those days, women were heavily involved in that, and you can't help but tip your hat to what they did during that period. Now let's advance further forward. Well, actually, let's just stay in that era. Because one of the parts of that Vietnam War for people who were so-called in-country was the raising of families. So I've raised a family of four kids, and it's hard work. Many of you know all about that. Can you imagine trying to raise a family in a country that was as war-torn as Vietnam was during that period? And so, while some of the women weren't actively engaged in combat, Vietnamese women I'm talking about, they were holding down the fort under extraordinarily demanding circumstances in their towns and their cities. And that's a side of things that is not fully understood. I got a little glimpse of it, having been deployed quite a bit while I was gone, and had my wife at home with 4 kids, and listening to the stories. It's demanding. But she was living in a peacetime environment, not living in a wartime environment. So the women in Vietnam who held their families together during that era were absolutely heroes, and we ought to recognize that, and particularly on a day like today when we're recognizing women. Now, I would dare to say, as time has gone on since that era, many of the positions in the military that were previously prevented women from being part of them have been opened up. And so now, of course, we have women doing all sorts of things, flying airplanes, right out on the front lines, doing a whole bunch of things, and they're doing an absolutely great job. And I have to admit, a bit of a bias that I have developed, never expected to develop it, and that is, if you really want a job to get done well, first, look for a woman to take it on. I'm telling you, I've experienced that in business. I'm getting applause, I think, from our national anthem singer. Look for a woman, because in most cases, they will do a superior job. They really will. And I found that in business, I find it in politics. I hear about it in the military. I've actually seen it visiting Iraq and Afghanistan. They do a terrific job. So I think that we all ought to acknowledge, above and beyond the nurturing, the mothering and nurturing of women, that they do a terrific job in anything that they're tasked to do. And I think today is a good example. Let's give applause to the women who organized this event. Thanks so much. One last point that I would make, and that is, by the time I got over to the Western Pacific as a lieutenant, it was 1972, and the Marines, I was in the Marine Corps, were out of Vietnam, but we were thrown back aboard ship because of the 72 offensive that came down the coast. And I did have an experience with a Vietnamese Marine battalion. We went into Da Nang Harbor, picked up a battalion of Vietnamese Marines, took them back up, set off the coast of palm tree, and eventually they landed. And I happened to be the officer of the day aboard our ship when they made that landing, the night before and the day of it. And so I saw the look of these Vietnamese Marines the night before they went in and landed on that beach, which was supposed to be a heavily guarded, defended position, and the very morning, all morning long, before they got aboard our Amtrak and went ashore. And all I saw was grim determination and courage in the eyes of those young Marines. And there were none of them who hung back. There were none of them who all of a sudden came up with a bad case of the flu the morning of the landing. They all jumped on those tracks and went and made the landing. And that, those images are seared in my memory. Those were young men willing to go in and sacrifice for their country. And I think, for me, when I think about the Vietnamese War, I think about that incident, and I think about the tremendous sacrifice made by young men and women throughout that era. And I do believe with that type of spirit that you see there, that eventually that freedom and respect for individuals will return to Vietnam. It's inevitable, and I think with the efforts on the part of people like this showing up, keeping the fires burning, so to speak, that will take place. So thank you very much, especially to the women here today for organizing this event. I think it's tremendous. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hannigan. And I would like for everyone to give a round of applause to all those that served. And if you could.
Kính thưa quý vị, xin bỏ lỗi cho Jennifer hơi ngần ngại một chút, nhưng Jennifer và con có ý là muốn mời tất cả quý vị đang hiện diện ở đây, ai là cựu quân nhân, đặc biệt là nữ, xin đứng dậy để chúng con có thể ghi nhận. Cảm ơn. Ladies and gentlemen, those who insert before, please stand up so we can recognize you and give you a big appreciation from the young generation. Please stand up, all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Please give a big hand to all of you. Thank you very, very much. And so, yes, we will carry on the torch, especially this young lady really. So, continue on. The next part is the special part, the appreciation, the women in uniform. I will pass the mic to all of the ladies being judged and be kicked out of the stage. Sorry.
Thank you anh Hoàng Vi Kha, thank you Jennifer. Dạ, kính thưa quý vị đã hiện diện hôm nay và xin cho chúng con gửi đến một lời chân thành tri ân quý vị đã hiện diện ở đây để cùng chúng ta tri ân những người nữ quân nhân cũng giống như những người chiến đấu cho vì một lý tưởng tự do. Xin chân thành cảm ơn.
I want to further appreciate our veterans here today. If I find your name, please come to the stage. We'd like to give you our appreciation. First of all, xin được mời cô Bích Lộc Journey Swanson.
Xin trân trọng kính được mời cô Bích Lộc Journey Swanson.
Và tiếp theo xin được mời cô Lê Ngọc Ánh.
Dạ, kính thưa quý vị, cô Lê Ngọc Ánh là một nữ quân nhân Việt Nam Cộng Hòa của vùng BC, nhưng cô Ngọc Ánh không có mặt ngày hôm nay, nhưng chúng tôi xin được trân trọng, xin được mời cô Lê Ngọc Ánh, xin trân trọng.
Và xin được mời sau đây mời cô Phạm Thị Tuyết Hoa.
Dạ, cô Phạm Thị Tuyết Hoa có phu quân là Trần Đình Chữ cũng không có mặt ngày hôm nay. Và người thứ hai chúng con cũng xin được nhắc đến là cô Nguyễn Thị Kim Hoàng cũng vắng mặt ngày hôm nay.
Dạ thưa xin được mời cô Nguyễn Thị Bé Bảy.
Người tiếp theo chúng tôi xin được trân trọng kính mời là cô Bùi Vi Anh. Xin trân trọng kính mời nhà văn Lê Thị Nhị xin bước lên sân khấu để trao đây chỉ là một món quà tinh thần chứ không phải là một món quà thật có giá trị, nhưng mà tất cả đến với đây bằng tấm lòng chân thành nhất. Chúng tôi xin một tràng pháo tay cho quý vị cho những nữ quân nhân. Dạ, kính thưa xin cho con được hỏi là cô Tuyết Ngọc có nhắc với con là có sự hiện diện của cô Kiều. Dạ, con xin kính mời cô Kiều ạ. Xin trân trọng kính mời Heather Rice.
Và xin được mời cô Heather Rice.
Dạ, chúng tôi xin trân trọng kính mời ông Tạ Cường Hải, đại diện cho Liên hội Cựu Chiến sĩ xin trao phần thưởng. Em sorry, dạ, xin trao món quà tri ân về cho những nữ quân nhân trên sân khấu.
Dạ xin được mời chú Nguyễn Văn Lân.
Xin quý vị một tràng pháo tay cho chúng tôi dành cho những nữ quân nhân đã có mặt ngày hôm nay với chúng ta. Dạ, kính thưa quý vị, con xin nhường lời lại cho cô Bích Lộc. Xin quý vị một tràng pháo tay cho cô Bích Lộc ạ.
Tôi xin thành thật rất là vui mừng ngày hôm nay và tôi rất hãnh diện để giới thiệu với quý vị tôi có cậu con trai tên là Philip. Philip, stand up anh đi. Con trai của tôi. Cậu em trai của tôi là Rene Ngô Lan, cùng vợ là Liên Tri cũng là và tôi có ông bà chị rất là quý mến. Tôi quen từ làng Phát Diệm, Hà Nội cho tới Hà Nội rồi tới Lào và sang nước Mỹ. Và chị của tôi là chị Nam Điệu. Mời chị đứng dậy. Anh nhớ một chuyện nữa là khi mà bị bom ở tòa đại sứ Mỹ lần đầu tiên ở đường Nguyễn Huệ, tôi là người đầu tiên đến tòa đại sứ Mỹ. Tôi không ngờ là có một số nhân viên của tòa đại sứ bị rất là đau đớn. Tôi xung phong giúp một người nhân viên của Mỹ và sau đó được cáo đăng lên từ hôm nay. Chỉ thật sau tôi được mời đến Tân Hospital làm việc trong cái thời gian và đại sứ Mỹ bị
gentlemen, please one more time for our women in uniform. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And right now, next we would like to invite the family of our women in uniform. Và bây giờ Quý Cho xin được mời gia đình của các nữ quân nhân đã tham dự ngày hôm nay. Và xin mời gia đình của cô Nguyễn Thị Bé Bảy, chú Bùi Dương Liêm, trưởng nữ Bùi Thị Phi Anh và thứ nam Bùi Dương Quang. Xin được mời lên sân khấu. Thank you for the family of a woman in uniform. To share some thoughts with everyone here today, I would like to invite Mr. James Fisher, our National Executive Director of Korean War Veteran Association.
Well, it's an honor to be here today, and I want to thank all of you. You have a very special place in my heart. I was in Special Forces right at the end of the Vietnam War, and all my soldiers served with the Montagnards and with the Vietnamese Army. And they were very, very held in high respect. They held you in high respect. Not only the women, but the men. And I just want to say something what we are appreciative of the United States of America. We know you left your country. A lot of you came over to escape communism and so forth. But I'm going to say this. The Vietnamese, these people that have come to the United States have made the United States much, much better. Number one, you came here legally. Number two, you worked for everything you had. Number three, you started businesses on your own and you worked them up. And a lot of you are very successful. Number four, you become members of your community. And number five, you brought your culture here to the United States. Never lose that. The United States needs that because that's why we are a country of foreign people. You are very special. I have the privilege of closing out the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War commemoration in 2023. I'm going to personally ask every one of you Vietnam, I'm a Korean War veteran executive director, so if I say Korean, please forgive me, okay? But I want every Vietnamese veteran of the Vietnam War to have a special place at that ceremony in 2023. We are going to start off with a joint meeting of Congress. We're going to have displays on the JFK field from everything from the Vietnam War. And I want the Vietnamese Army, those that serve, to have a display there and talk to the young people when they come around to tell your story. Tell your story how you fought for your country, then you came to the United States and you built up this country. And you made it the United States that much better. Number two, we want you to attend the concert. We want some of these lovely ladies in their beautiful gowns to come and be a part of that concert and perform. And number three, we want to, when we have a presidential closeout on Sunday, it's going to be in May 2023. Right now it's scheduled for the 10th, 11th, and 12th. That's a weekend. We want all of you there because we need to be together. Okay? We are all citizens of the United States now. No matter what you do, you're strong, you're a part of it, and we need you. I just want to thank the ladies, okay? I never had the privilege of working with ladies in Special Forces, but now they have it, and I'm sure they're a lot better than some of the guys I've had. So I appreciate that. Thank you. You are my arch rival. I went to Norwich University. We played you every year in football, and we beat you. No, but that was way before your time. But these ladies are outstanding ladies. I want to thank you for all your contributions. They need to be recognized. And you said something very close to my heart. Children, you need to listen to your parents and your grandparents of what they went through. True democracy. How did they get here? That was a fight. In fact, that's more of a fight than on the battlefield. And I won't get into that, but it's an honor to be here. And on behalf of the Korean War Veterans Association, and when I start the DoD closeout of the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, I want to see you all there. God bless you. God bless you all. And have a wonderful time. And ladies, congratulations again. Thank you.
One last time, but this time we would like to invite all veterans, all active members in the military. Please come up to the stage. We would like to show you our appreciation for you tonight, right now.
Con xin trân trọng mời tất cả những cô chú là đã trong quân lực Việt Nam Cộng Hòa và đã hiện bây giờ cũng đang tham dự tại ngũ, hoặc là những người đang mặc quân phục ngày hôm nay, hoặc không mặc quân phục nhưng cũng là những người quân nhân, thì xin mời lên đây để cho chúng con có được cái sự vinh hạnh là tri ân tất cả các cô chú. Xin thành cảm ơn.
Please join us at the stage. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for all members of our stage. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Và thay mặt ban tổ chức nhân ngày hôm nay, Phi Kha cũng xin mượn cái sân khấu này để bày tỏ lòng tri ân đến tất cả nữ cựu quân nhân Việt Nam Cộng Hòa, không chỉ riêng ở tại vùng thủ đô và thành phố, không chỉ riêng có mặt ngày hôm nay mà tất cả mọi nơi trên thế giới. Đồng thời Phi Kha cũng xin được tri ân đến những người nữ quân nhân nhưng không có quân phục. Họ là những special force mà quý vị chuẩn bị ở đây chắc chắn biết là nhóm Thiên Nga và biệt đội Thiên Nga của cảnh sát là họ là không có chọn uniform giống như spy intelligence. And I know a couple of them. They live in Boston right now. Big honor. And my gratitude for taking fullness and appreciation both on the
like to read a closing remark for everybody. The men and women who have given their lives in service are truly heroes. They answer to their country and to their people. Honoring our soldiers with words alone falls terribly short if we do not bring those words to life by honoring them equally with deeds worthy of their sacrifice. What more can we do to honor their legacy? How can we give them something more than a ceremony and a moment of gratitude? Probably, our obligation to them upon their return home is to heal their wounds, to rebuild their lives, and to care for their survival. We must recommit ourselves to standing up for our troops and our veterans. We must never stop fighting for our veterans as they never stop fighting for us, sacrificing for us, and so many gave their last dying breath for us. It is up to us now to honor those still with us and the survivors of those who have passed by fulfilling the nation's promise to our protectors, the military veterans. So please spend some extra time with your loved ones. Step back from daily stresses and reflect on your freedom, as so many of our sons and daughters died to protect. Some may think this long weekend holiday as the start of summer, such as barbecue and outdoor activities, is fine. But please just take a moment to remember why you have the luxury and freedom we enjoy today. Thank you, and may God bless and keep our fallen, our veterans, active military, the United States of America, and Vietnam. Thank you.